All right, what is going on, guys? UFC 318, Holloway versus Poirier is done. Poirier 3 is done and over, and these are going to be the fights to make after the event. Starting off with the main event winner, Max Holloway, gets it done. The unanimous decision over Dustin Poirier. Pretty clean performance. A little hiccup in the second round, got dropped and hurt badly at the end of the second round. Other than that, pretty solid performance from Max Holloway. Was able to get off the cage most of the time and stick and move like he usually likes to do. I think there's two possible matchups we could make for Max Holloway right now. Dan Hooker is one of them. And if they want to put the BMF title on the line, which is stupid, they could. That has BMF written all over it. But the fight I want them to do, which they could also put the BMF title on the line, which is stupid, is Charles Oliveira. He's coming off of a KO loss to Elliot Poirier. He's probably ranked in the top 3. I don't remember off the top of my head. At least, I think he should be at least 2 or 3. End of the year, December, pay-per-view, or Madison Square Garden. I think that's in November, end of November. Something like that. End of the year, give Oliveira more time off to recover from that knockout loss. And I think that's when he said he wanted to come back. I think this is a great fight. And again, although I don't want them to do it, they could make this, put this on a stacked pay-per-view and have 2 or 3 title fights on it. But yeah, I think this would be a really great matchup. They fought before. This would be their second fight. The first fight ended in Charles Oliveira having an esophagus injury, so the fight didn't really happen at all. Moving on, Paulo Costa, winner of the co-main event. Looked pretty good tonight, not going to lie. Oh, wrong one. Brendan Allen. So, I think, although Allen's coming off of a win, and this is technically a step down in the rankings for Brendan Allen, I think Paulo Costa is probably a tough test for Brendan Allen. He's got pretty good defensive grappling. Not the best, but he's pretty decent defensive grappling. And I think his striking is better on the feet than Allen. I really do. Although Allen has been showing some improvements in his striking, I really think Paulo Costa, especially with the performance he just put on, give him a step up in the rankings as competition-wise. And for Allen, he's finally back on a winning track. I think he was on a 2-fight skid. If he wants to kind of build some momentum up, we don't want to just throw him in there with someone in the top 5. Okay? We'll throw him in there with Paulo Costa. If, whatever guy gets a win, give him a jump up in the rankings and competition-wise as the next fight. And this is a great matchup. They could even make this like a fight night, Apex Fight Night main event if they wanted to. They've been putting some shitty ones on, so this one wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, great fight. Would love to see it. Moving on. Daniel Rodriguez beats Kevin Holland. Yeah, that's the world we're living in right now. But he's now going to be a ranked welterweight. And I'm giving him somebody coming off of a loss that's up the rankings. That being Joaquin Buckley. Buckley coming off that loss to Kamaru Usman where he got completely out-grappled the entire fight. He needs to defend his position. D-Rod, I think he's on a 3-fight winning streak now with his win over Holland. Back in the rankings. Was in the rankings at one point. Got out. I think Ian Gary kicked him out of the rankings. Now he's back in the rankings. Give him a step up. Can Buckley... He's shown improvement against the lower level opponents in the welterweight division. Can he show improvement, continue that improvement? Obviously, when he got his toughest test in Kamaru Usman, he lost very clearly. But I think picked up the 5th round, though. He did pick up the 5th round. This would be great, like a headline of a prelims on a pay-per-view, or like opening up a pay-per-view main card. This would be a great fight for that later on this year. I think Buckley wanted to take a little bit of time off and work on some stuff. I think he'd probably go with a grappling-heavy game plan against Dan Rodriguez, that being his weakest point, is the grappling. So I think this would be a great fight. Would love to see it. Moving on. Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull kind of looks all blurry. I couldn't find a good picture of him. He is now a ranked featherweight. Gets the win over Dan Ige. If you hear something, that's my dog in the background. I want him tested against someone who I think would beat Ige, and is up in the rankings, and that is Aljamain Sterling. Sterling coming off the loss of Mobsar. I don't believe he has a fight booked right now. This would be a great matchup. They're both kind of older. Pitbull's older than Sterling is, but kind of see where they're at. And can Pitbull continue his momentum where he did better in this fight than he did the Yair fight, but can he continue that? We need to see if he can continue that. And I think Aljamain Sterling will be a good test. And the grappling might cancel each other out, and this could be a striking matchup. And Pitbull has good power, as he's shown in the Danny Gay fight. All right, I'm back. So, next, Michael Johnson gets the win over Daniel Zellhuber. Very big upset on the card. He doesn't 100% deserve it, but I have an opponent in mind that is a ranked opponent at the bottom of the lightweight division who I think he has a chance to beat. That is Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis looked like absolute shit in his last fight. I understand, okay, he beat the guy. That win didn't mean anything. I think the guy took it on like a couple days' notice. Not UFC caliber. And it took Benoit Saint-Denis around and a half to get the finish. Where there were multiple times in the first round where he should have been able to get the finish and didn't get the finish. So I think in his older age, I'm rushing him back up the rankings, or to the rankings, I guess. And for Benoit Saint-Denis, this is a great name to have on his resume. Michael Johnson kind of have a career resurgence later on in his career. And a 3-fight winning streak right now. This would be a great name for Benoit Saint-Denis to have on his resume if he could beat him, which I think he could. And I think it'd be a fun fight. Guaranteed fun fight right there. Moving on, Vinicius Oliveira. This is not a hard pick. Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, he called out Sean O'Malley as well. Whoever accepts it first, just throw him in there with him. Although I think he loses to both guys, he's calling him out. I like the matchup. I like it when guys coming up the rankings get a shot way up the rankings. Whether it's, he's got a couple wins. He's got a streak going together. And I would love to see this matchup. Could the wildness and craziest of Oliveira counteract Umar on the feet and negate the grappling of Umar Nurmagomedov? Because, Oliveira likes to wind up those shots. Can he wind up an uppercut and hit Umar as he's going in for a takedown? I think it'd be a great matchup. It would be a fun fight guaranteed. I know I'm saying that about a lot of these fights. But they will. I think a lot of these will be really fun fights to watch. That's why I'm making them. Anyway, moving on. If I can say the guy's name right. Atiba Gutierrez. Gets the win. I'm going to give him a step up in competition and kind of a step down in the rankings-wise competition for his opponent, and that's Bruno Feta. Bruno Feta also fought on the card, also got a finish in the first round. I think this would be a very good test for Gutierrez. And for Bruno, he's on a few fight winning streak now. He needs, I think, one more win, and we could talk about ranked opposition in his next fight or two after that. And this is clearly a prospect the UFC is looking to build. He's a freak of nature, kind of like Francis Ngannou, both from Cameroon. I think so. I think it's Cameroon. And Bruno Ferreira's somewhat of a name that the people know. Not super, he got known for coming in on short notice and fighting Gregory Rodriguez and knocking him out brutally. He has been knocked out brutally himself. I think in his next fight, someone took it on short notice and knocked him out brutally. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think this would be a great matchup. Bruno Ferreira is probably going to be able to, his best bet would be to use the grappling. I think Gutierrez probably has him on the feet. Anyway, moving on, Jimmy Crute. I'm going to be honest. He called out Justin Jacoby. I think Jacoby's injured, so I don't think he's going to be able to take that fight. And obviously, if he waits long enough, they could do that fight. I think that'd be a fine matchup. The opponent I'm giving him has fought recently, has won recently, got his first win in the UFC. Tuco Tokos. Fought 2 weeks ago. Got the win over Junior Tafa. Okay, Junior Tafa's a bum. I knew that. That's why I picked Tokos to win. But Tokos is also kind of a bum. But he's coming off of a win. Crute, we can't really talk about him getting ranked opposition at this point. He's got one win since 2020. So I think he needs to build up a couple more wins before we talk about him fighting a ranked opponent. Moving on, last but probably least, Ryan Spann gets it done, finally gets a win at heavyweight, and I'm going to give him another fight at heavyweight before. I know we kind of teased about going back and forth between weight classes. He needs to pick one. Either stay at heavyweight where he doesn't have to cut weight, or go to light heavyweight, cut the weight. I think he should probably just stay at heavyweight. Heavyweight division is probably the least talented division in the UFC, men's division. The opponent I gave him, Justin Tafa. One of the Tafa brothers went down to light heavyweight. The other one's still at heavyweight, I'm assuming. It's going to end in the first round. I don't know who is going to get the win in the first round. Someone's getting a knockout or a guillotine in the first round. I don't know who it would be. You know, put this on the prelims of a pay-per-view. Probably going to end in the first round, or it's going to be a really shitty fight to watch after that if it doesn't. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of these fights? Do you have any fights that you make differently? If so, let me know down below. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.